guys, it's Francesca from Consciousful Tarot. Thank you so much for tuning into my YouTube channel and clicking on this video. Today I'm going to be making a new celebrity video, an update on Jelena, on Justin Bieber and Selenagomez connection. So I'm going to go ahead and first begin on their spiritual connection, what's happening behind the scenes, what are they currently learning. So I am seeing that they're at a verge where they do feel as though this love is forbidden. They are escaping plans that they potentially had. They're very withdrawn and disappointed due to a lot of new interrupted breakthroughs that they have received, a lot of obstacles that have gone in the way between them. I am seeing part of it has to do with Justin's health, but part of it also has to do with them possibly disconnecting from some sort of emotional desire. It does seem as though they're feeling as though it's out of reach, and they're reaching a breaking point right now emotionally, as though they both feel as though they need to either release things that are getting in between them or release this emotional longing. Right now they are also encompassing on the notion of overcoming the obstacles, because right now there seems to be many decisions that are in the air. There seems to also be this revelation that both of them are having, that they are both obsessed with something that seems forbidden, and they do feel as though either one of them has to make that decision to completely release something that is in between them. There seems to be a lot of addictions and toxicity when it comes to other people that are hampering their connection. They both feel trapped emotionally when it comes to actually creating and manifesting this connection. It seems as though both of their souls are intermingled to the point where in the recent past, they felt as though the connection was going to be able to transcend the obstacles. They were going to be able to actually jump into a new phase together. But now that it seems that an obstacle has emerged, now it seems as though there seems to be a pushback in this connection. And the offer that was potentially once on the table is being limited. Right now they're both going through a lot of emotional ups and downs because the connection does seem a little bit far reached. So they are in a way both abandoning the desire, and they're abandoning the potential plans that they had to rekindle and create some sort of change in their perspective in order to enter a state of emotional harmony. Right now what's going on between them is that they're actually needing to release the codependency of this connection and the obsession of this connection in order to actually get it to a phase where they're going to be able to tranquilize it. You know, I am seeing that communication has stopped. I do see that they could have been communicating in the beginning of June, at the end of May, but it does seem as though it has halted. And it does seem as though when it comes to the desire of having a long-term connection, it does seem as though they're releasing that illusion. They're having some sort of mental clarity as well when it comes to the need to be realistic. I'm not seeing them moving on, but I'm seeing them changing their perspective when it comes to the duration of when this is going to happen, especially because there's been things that have afflicted this connection that is trapping them and making them a little bit frustrated. So it's like they're trying to escape the obsession, and they're a little bit disappointed and withdrawn, but their main lesson right now is the need for them to release the codependency, the need for them to actually get their emotions under control and adapt to the current circumstances so they don't suffer, so they can release themselves from the codependency, because that's the main thing right now, that they're both needing to heal their heart and release themselves from a cycle of potentially, you know, emotionally soothing themselves or emotionally numbing themselves, because the connection does seem to be forbidden at this very moment. And now they've entered this lockbox where they're now realizing that the physical circumstances are actually making them face the reality. So they're trying to be sympathetic with themselves. They're trying to emotionally balance themselves and have faith that they're going to be able to navigate this situation in the future. So they're going through a lot of self-discovery and introspection that's making them withdraw emotionally, but it's helping them actually self-discover by releasing the codependency and go through the waves of the emotions without suffering. And they're having a lot of faith in actually creating victory in the future. Like, they're both holding on to their faith. They're also attaining some sort of mental clarity due to their faith when it comes to the duration of when this is going to happen. So they're learning balance, they're learning moderation, and they're learning also to maintain their inner calmness by releasing that codependency and that need to know when this is going to happen. So they are, in fact, expanding and learning at the moment, which is actually going to help them enter a new phase very soon. But they're both going to have to release codependency, addictions, and other options in order to rekindle in the near future. So let's go ahead and see how they both feel about each other. Guys, so now I'm going to go ahead and elaborate how Justin Bieber is thinking and feeling about Selenagomez. And I am seeing that he is looking at the transformation that will transpire. He's holding on to a lot of faith right now. He is looking at the circumstances like he is running out of time. I confirmed that he has not communicated with Selenagomez since his health condition, and the reason why is because he's been feeling very confined by overindulging with Haley, and he's actually been having like a lack of social life. And I am seeing that Haley is to the point where she's very controlling at this moment, very overly protective. She's like mean-spirited to the point where if Selena were to reach out, or if he would want to reach out to Selena, she would like overreact. So right now he's at a point where he's trying to rebuild his stability and regain his independence in order to create boundaries with Haley, and in order to find himself back to Selena. He's at a point where he feels like he's kind of like lacked the progress when it comes to connecting with his true purpose with Selena. He's at a point where he's actually going under a lot of stress. He's at a breaking point because he feels as though he has been facing life or death, and he feels a lot of mental anguish because he wants to call her so bad. And when I mean so bad, I see him being anxious. I see him that he can't even sleep. I see him feeling like he's challenging his own belief systems. He's challenging his own he's challenging his own role and who he truly loves, and he feels like he really needs to release Haley in order to actually communicate with Selena, because there's so much control here, there's so much facade right now, that he feels very confined. He feels almost like he's under lockdown, but emotionally, and all he wants is that emotional support from Selena. He feels very challenged because what he's living is very unconventional. It's like he wants to express his passion. He wants to get nurtured by Selena. He wants to reciprocate this love, and he wants to get the protection from her, and he wants her to feel as though he can depend on her and she can depend on him. But right now he feels limited to do that, so he's actually in lockdown, in a mental confinement, in order to actually go through introspection, reflection, and he's looking at his inner guidance. He's looking at the things that he needs to release, such as Haley, in order to come out of this troubled water with Selena. He feels as though I am seeing like Haley overindulging in some sort of gossip about Selena, like talking a lot of crap about her. I'm seeing her trying to actually like talk bad about Selena in a way to repel Justin from even trying to contact her during this time, because Haley could feel that Justin Bieber is wanting to have like an interview conversation, get on the same page with Selena because of what has happened. And I am seeing that when Justin gets better, I am seeing around the 5th of July, he may try to go out and try to run into Selena in a place that she's at. I am seeing around the 5th of July, around like 4th of July, around that time. It's going to be like at a nightclub or somewhere possibly in Vegas or in LA. And he's gonna gamble his chance. This may be secretly. And I'm seeing that he's gonna do this in order to actually like complete the silence here. He just feels as though right now he's under a lot of anxiety because he's not fulfilling his emotional needs when he actually needs it, and he's in a phase of needing to get nurtured. He's in a phase of healing, and he's like almost expecting Selena to come contact him, but she hasn't, and he's under a lot of emotional anguish. He's overloaded with anxiety, but he's also trusting in the process. So I do see him connecting with his faith. I see him going through emotional upheavals that are making him recognize who he needs to sacrifice. But I also see him expanding and deepening his faith to actually look at the bigger picture and look at the destiny that lies between him and Selena. So right now he's stabilizing himself. He's trying to regain his endurance and his stability and his health, especially when it comes to his structure, his body, his health. He's trying to become more self-dependable. So he's trying to become more disciplined in the sense where he takes care of himself, where he also leaves an unhealthy lifestyle that was potentially deepening his connection with Haley, making him numb his heart to Selena, and then also this unhealthy lifestyle that can potentially harm his health. So he's trying to stabilize himself so he can actually better his health, but also so he can have a permanent growth and foundation with Selena, because ultimately what's driving him to grow as an individual is the idea of them being together. He doesn't want to miss this opportunity, and he's going through a lot of mental activity that is being driven by the disconnection between him and Selena. So he's actually at a place where he's recognizing the changes that need to be made, and he's actually wanting to seize the opportunity in isolation to better himself. So he does feel like he's running out of time. He feels like there's a deadline here, and he's on the verge of wanting to actually reveal his feelings to her, reveal that, hey, he still cares, because he feels as though he's been showing a lot of deception to her and the media. And that's when I actually see him showing up somewhere where she's at, and that's where he's gonna kind of like confront her. And it is gonna be low key, so I don't see us knowing about it. But this is going to be a way that he's gonna secure the lock between him and her, and it's going to be in a sense where he's gonna come in like urgently, and he's gonna come in like out of nowhere. So let's go ahead and see how Selenagomez thinks and feels. Okay, guys, so now I'm gonna go ahead and transition to how Selenagomez is thinking and feeling about Justin Bieber. And they got similar energies, I'm seeing, because I do have my tarot on the side, and I am seeing that she's feeling very heartbroken, very frazzled, inability to cope with the news that she got. So she's trying to balance out her life right now. She's feeling very lost in the sense of how to give him some sort of emotional nurturing. She feels cut off by the situation. I do see that she has tried to connect with either his inner circle or some family member here, I'm seeing, just to confirm how he is, because she is seeing that he is avoiding her. He's running away from her. And I am seeing that she's kind of in denial what has happened to him. She does feel as though this definitely has happened due to the influence of Hailey Bieber and this connection that is just very toxic. He feels as though he has over-abused his stress levels, over-abused his power, and has created some sort of health issue in himself due to this connection. He feels as though the connection between them is intoxicating him. Ultimately, that's just her belief. That doesn't mean that's why he got sick, and that's not why he has his symptoms. But I am seeing that he's at a point where, I'm sorry, she's at a point where she wants to communicate with him so bad and express the care, express the passion that she has for him, express the nurturing and the love. But she's at a point where she can't conceptuate, or she can't really reciprocate, because there is emotional neglection here, and she's become very anxious because she's very concerned about the situation. She's in a state where she's very unhappy. She's overwhelmed. She's also having breakdowns. I see her praying. I see her being very restricted right now. She feels very restricted. She also is very pessimistic about whether or not they're ever going to be able to actually communicate, especially due to this health scare. And she's at a point where she's reaching a breaking point. She's withdrawing because she's so disappointed that even when he does have a health issue, he's still avoiding her. Even when he is at a point where he's literally facing life or death, he's still not being vulnerable. He's still not being open. So she's at a point where she's detached. You know, she's at a point where she's giving herself that peace of mind in order to heal, but in order for him to heal, so he could actually enter his divine masculine energy and stop being absent. It's like she feels as though Haley has so much control over him and his money and his daily living, and that she feels as though that this is what's really possessing him. This is what's really possessing him from not being flexible to at least communicate with her as a friend. So I do see her really, like, you know, holding on to faith, you know, even though she's very, like, magnetically drawn to him and wanting to pour her love. Because Selena's someone that's very, like, she likes to fertile people. She likes to nurture people. Like, she's very sensitive to the point, like, when she faces someone that is emotionally unavailable, it's like she feels emotionally attacked. So she is needing to cope with what's happening with his health, and needing to cope with the fact that there's an absence of communication. She's needing to cope with it by letting go, by just communicating with a blood tie or someone in his inner circle. I do see her feeling like right now what's happening to him is also like going to be some sort of like lesson that he needs to learn about the relationship that he has with Haley. So it does seem as though Selena does feel that Justin and Haley are very codependent and very controlling of each other. Like, she has a belief, and she may gotten like some sort of resource or some sort of insight, right, that this connection is actually like an addiction or inhibiting him, right? So she has like an actual like idea of like when this connection is gonna like get out of his life, and she feels like it's gonna be very soon, and she knows that this health scare is actually meant to trigger them from actually like leaving each other. So she's like remaining positive because she understands the cycles of life. She understands, but the matter of the fact is that she's facing the notion, and she's facing what has happened to him, and she's feeling very emotionally lost. But like I said, she's trying to cope with herself. She's trying to balance herself out, but I see her being very anxious, trying to literally indulge herself in work, trying to balance out her life. I see her reading a lot as well, potentially reading about his health circumstances, his syndrome, and she's also reminiscing a lot on the past, and she's going through a lot of highs and lows, and this is also like helping her like keep positive, you know, keep her emotions uplifted. But she's researching to see how she can potentially get knowledge to actually improve his health. But she's gaining also like you know, a lot of self-awareness on how to actually cope with these emotions without hurting herself, or without entering a stage of, you know, feeling you know, defeated, and you know, getting the point where she's very emotionally stressed, because she feels as though, you know, the fact that Justin Bieber can't put a boundary with Hailey is someone that she feels is very emotionally immature. Like, she feels as though he doesn't have a voice for himself. He's very emotionally unintelligent. So, you know, she's at a point where, you know, she's disappointed in him, but she's also, you know, being mindful of the circumstances and understanding that the bigger picture between everything that's happening. But I do see at first she was in denial. She was in denial about what has happened to him. But she feels like she's like ready to explode. Like, there's a lot of pressure that's cooking up behind her heart, that's making her want to like send him an anonymous letter, or send him a direct message, but it's like, it's something that she feels like she can't do, you know. So instead, she's kind of like just letting go. You know, she's wanting to travel, she's wanting to, you know, kind of like abandon the situation in order to find some sort of equilibrium in her heart. And this is giving her the practical notion of actually, like, you know, moving forward in a balanced manner. And she's also connecting to her faith, which is giving her balance to understanding what's actually going to transpire. When it comes to her current love life, I am seeing that she's not really emotionally invested. She's also a little bit restless in those situations. I do see her being very invested in texting, communicating with people. I do see her potential with a certain person. I am seeing that I am seeing her, and I'll do a separate reading for Selena about her love life and her situations, but I am seeing her being very indulged with someone. I am seeing it as sex. This can definitely be Evan. They're going out a lot, but she does feel emotionally unavailable to him, especially due to what has happened to Justin Bieber. They're going out, they're drinking, but all the information that Selena's finding online, it's like, it's overwhelming her. So she's like utilizing Evan as a way to kind of like escape this mental confinement. I do see Evan being the one to really chase her. He's really thirsty for her, but Selena's not emotionally invested here. And Selenagomez is getting a lot of dreams about Justin, a lot of telepathic communication and songs. So even when she is with Evan, she'll hear a song and it's like reminds her of Justin, or she'll get like like a vision and it reminds her of Justin. So she's projecting to actually walk away from this connection with Evan and be single, like officially single. And like, we may hear about this, like they may go on a getaway. Like I said, I do see her going on vacation or some sort of getaway, traveling. After the getaway, she's gonna claim she's single, because she's gonna realize that, she doesn't want to bargain this connection. She doesn't want to lead him on, because even though they do have some sort of, I am seeing like an attraction, there is like a spiritual essence to this connection. She doesn't see it going the distance, and she's too tied on to Justin, I'm not gonna lie. And it's like what truly makes her happy, it's like the idea of them, and it's like, as much as she tries to move on, it's coming more to her awareness that she doesn't want to, you know what I mean? And she may ultimately try to chase the connection with Justin. Okay, so I am picking up right away here that, remember how I mentioned in the beginning how Justin is going to suddenly pop up? I see when they do have this unexpected meeting and visit, she's going to begin to want to reciprocate with him secretly on the low key. And at that moment, he's going to give her potentially confirmation about him wanting to release Hailey, because there's going to be a lot of toxicity between them. And this could be at the moment when Hailey's actually going to be planning a potential pregnancy. So yeah. So that's about it. I'm definitely going to do a reading on Selenagomez and her love life, and to be continued.